see.
Cos.
Oh, what a day. What a day, what a day. Peace and blessings manifest in every lesson learned. If your knowledge was your wealth, then it would be well earned. If we were made in His image, then crown us by our name. Most intellectual not believe in God, but the just the same.
Welcome back, viewers. It's James Kalm, your half-assed report of the guy on the bike. And we are on the Lower East Side. It's a Sunday afternoon, and we are out for our little acculturation stroll. And we're gonna stop here at Karma, 188 East 2nd Street, and we're going to check out a show by Reggie Burrows Hodges. Stay tuned.
Doesn't see colder in the summertime and hotter in the fall. If we were made in His image, then call us by our name. Extra complicated, God, but they hear us just the same. Oh, on and on.
Well, we're going to walk through a show by Reggie Burrows Hodges. And, well, he says that Reggie was born in California in 1965. And from what I've gathered from reading the press release, he's currently lives in Maine. And he won a 2020 Joan Mitchell grant. So congratulations for that. This piece is titled Seated Listener, Orange Pillow, 2020, acrylic and pastel on linen. .38 by 39? I don't know. Well, as I said, I was just out pedaling through the neighborhood and trying to keep track of what's going on here. And I put Karma on my stop list about 2 years ago. This piece is Swimming in Compton, RD 8, 2019. This is 60 by 61. Well, I think one of the interesting things about the work is that Reggie does all of this basically on a black background. Says that he goes in with pastel, maybe Conti, and kind of lays out his composition and builds these up in blocks of color, but makes a point of never really finishing the facial details. And it says that mainly he's interested in the gestures of the bodies. It's titled Community Concern, 2020. It's 40 by 41. I was actually thinking that I like the way that he kind of builds up these thin planes of color and uses that to kind of sculpt out his form. Okay, so this is probably the biggest piece in the show. For the Greater Good, white ground 2019. This is 80 by 96 inches. And yeah, for some reason I was looking at this initially when I came in and was thinking of Max Beckmann, who did a lot of paintings with kind of a dark ground. So I think that Reggie shares some kinds of compositional ideas, the way he kind of simplifies his forms down into these blocks of color. Makes me think of Diebenkorn, and I don't think there is any California artist that would say no to being influenced by Diebenkorn one way or the other. Daniel's Mirror 2020, 42 by 40. So I was kind of looking at this and thinking that Reggie might do a lot of this painting on the linen when the linen is just loose, and maybe tacks it on the wall, and there's a certain kind of puckering, it seems, in some of this that actually he uses to kind of give certain things an interesting texture. And again, we've got the figure there kind of laid out with subtle tones, but no real details in the face. Although it looks like Danielle is putting on some eye makeup, maybe. Herdling Green, 60 by 56. Okay, so yeah, I kind of like the way that so Reggie leaves the weave open. He doesn't put so much paint on there that it kind of clogs up the grain of the linen. Also, I thought this is a good example of how you can use black to make your certain colors pop. And that block of magenta in the trunks really does read entirely different on the black ground. And also you get a nice kind of a sense of drawing, not from actually drawing the line, but just leaving the gap between forms, and then the black space there from the ground kind of gives you that heavy outline. And the drawing is very spontaneous. I like that. Okay, let's run in the back room. Playing dub records in Berlin, 2020. And this also kind of goes to what they were talking about of kind of avoiding the too specifically personal part of this by leaving the faces as just silhouettes, and instead kind of creating a, I don't know, sense of identity through the gestures and the kind of the way the figure is laying out his various body parts and the kind of furniture and things that it's surrounded with. It's titled Seated Listener. And yeah, so the small painting is pretty nice. This is 14 by 11. Well, I was looking at an interview with Kerry James Marshall on YouTube the other day, and he was talking about black, not only as a metaphor and something he uses for representing his figures, but he was talking about the various types of black. This is titled Big Wheel 2020. So he was saying there are 3 types of black, and if you're a painter, you know that. There is the Mars black, which is an iron oxide. Basically, it's like a type of rust. You've got the lamp black, or carbon black, which is like burnt something, oil, coal, something. And then you have ivory black, which is burnt bones. And well, Kerry James Marshall said that each one of those blacks has its own characteristic and its own qualities. There's actually, they might be black, but they're actually 3 different colors, but they're very kind of close. This is also another one that's got the punchy colors in there. Hurtling Sky Blue 2020. I get it, so you're running over the hurdles. Yes, this, again, we've got our shot of pink, but you can see that Reggie does a nice, very subtle job of sliding in these thin, nice layers of these pastels on top of other blocks of pastels. You get a nice kind of pedimenti. And they were talking about the gestures, and a lot of this is when you get into the sports and athletes and people dancing and things like that, it gets to be much more dramatic. Just look at some of the smaller pieces here. I guess these are seated listeners. 14 by 11. Again, a nice little closely toned study. Seated listener, pink jacket. And actually, one of these smaller pieces, Reggie has closed out the weave a little more. Okay, we're gonna run up the street and see the rest of the show. Hello. Okay, well, they've got a beautiful catalog for Reggie. I'm also saying that this is his first exhibition with the gallery. So, yeah, welcome to New York. This is On the Verge, Greenfield, 2020. This is 36 by 28. Okay, so this is 2020. I was thinking that some of the pieces down in this group of works seem to have a little more paint on them. It's titled On the Verge, Going Away 2020. It's 18 by 12. On the Verge, Going Forward. Okay, I see there's a little narrative here. These are like characters on unicycles or bicycles. And I like the little the hints of the magenta and the lines. This is On the Verge, Want Only. Okay, I looked at this and I thought of Vuillard, one of the great, I guess they consider him a Nabi painter. Nabi, one of the French symbolists. But this little spectrums of the kind of grays going out into the cool and warm side of things is very reminiscent of those. I think Bonnard was also doing some beautiful close-keyed studies like that as well. This is On the Verge, strip of blue, 36 by 28. Okay. Oh, this is a very nice piece. On the Verge, Suspension of a Blue State. And this is a little different. For one thing, he's kind of left a frame of straight black around the edge. And he's got some nice shadows in there he's playing with. So just look at the shirt, the way that he laid in the white and then kind of filled over. He's kind of working in reverse, filled in the shadows over the top with the light blues. This is James Kalm on a Sunday afternoon. We've just taken a little look at Reggie Burrows Hodges here at Karma. Yes, viewers. Now on East Broadway, we're gonna run up to REENA SPAULINGS and see what's going on. This show was actually recommended to me. We'll see what's cooking. Okay, well, this is an exhibition of paintings by Alastair Mackinven. And I was up in Chelsea last week. Bumped into someone I haven't seen since the beginning of COVID time. And he recommended that I come in and see this show. And well, it's always fun for me to check out what's happening here at REENA. I've been complaining about having to look at your title list and that on your cell phones, and today I can't connect to the internet up here, so I can't get the list. And then I asked the gallerist, and she said that the paintings are all untitled, and they're. Alastair is using a mixture of oil and iron oxides. So I said, well, that makes it easy for me. I would just estimate that painting is something like 5 by 6. Okay, so this is also untitled. I like the kind of ephemeral, atmospheric, misty color things that he's getting here. I'll read a little bit from the press release. I am conscious that I paint in England, making me an English painter. Therefore, the language of my painting is English, as I am born of this country, a country with an active monarch, an island, the luxurious claustrophobic conditions suffered by the royal family, that being sovereign paranoia. One heard what happened a stone's throw away across the channel. When momentum grew, hunger and squalor will make the ordinary passive get hot under the collar and heads will roll. Okay, so the artist's statement is rather epic. Let's see if there's anything about his background. Okay, so this one is also untitled. Alastair is pushing things into a pretty intense, interesting color realm. And as I kind of look at this, I think that there's a lot of strange technical things going on, maybe a lot of dripping and pouring that's later kind of subsumed under a almost like a pastel-like application of pigment. Okay, so this figure floating in the water in the stream like that makes me think of one of the paintings by the pre-Raphaelites. Okay. Well, so this has got kind of an interesting textural thing. It looks like peeling plaster wall. And I think that that's probably one of the kind of feels that Alastair's going for, a kind of decrepitude, maybe relating to frescoes. But then he uses these kind of extraordinarily high-keyed colors. Okay, I kind of like this one. I think this might be my favorite piece in the show. Again, untitled, and I would estimate that this is something like 5.5 by 7 feet. So I think that Alastair is biting on or being inspired by a lot of symbolism, symbolist figurative painters. Okay, so we've got this character almost looks like some kind of a man beast. Okay, this is an interesting little piece. We've got our kind of misty background. Looks like a planet floating in the back. This kind of effigy lying there. But then we've got our little big lighter in there. And I think I saw somewhere in the press release where he mentions the British pop art. And for our art history geeks, we know that pop art actually was running parallel maybe a couple of years earlier in Britain than it was here in New York. Okay, this is the last piece we're going to look at. Again, I would say this is probably about 7 by 5.5. So that would be something like 1.9 meters by 1.4. And yeah, I like the way the kind of bumps in this strange textural surface he has a tendency to gather the pigments. Oh, yeah, there's a little dog down think might even be a little echo of Peter Doig, one of the very popular British figurative painters from the last 15 or 20 years. Okay, so this has been a look through Alastair Mackinven, Dinrg or REENA Spaulding on East Broadway. We're gonna roll on. Okay, well, we are here at Shrine and Sergeant's Daughters, but we're gonna go into the basement, into the shelter, and we're gonna look at an exhibition of works by Hyegyeong Choi titled On the Plus Side. Well, this is a fairly obscure space, but that's why you come to the Rough Cuts. Gonna kind of paste together a group of some of the figurative painting that is being shown on the Lower East Side these days, and I thought this was kind of an interesting example. This piece is titled Harvesting of Yangsang City Hall 2021, acrylic on canvas, 72 by 60 inches. Now, I thought Hyegyeong had some pretty interesting technical things that she's doing. Looks like she kind of starts out and builds up her composition with staining and kind of damp smushing. Then she starts to build up her designs and her figures. And I think the thing that I thought was interesting was the way that she actually almost sculpts the paint on these This is titled A Dream on Purple Tuesday 2021. Acrylic on canvas is 60 by 60. So Hyegyeong is actually a pretty good draftsperson. She's able to kind of draw hands, build her figures up, and then she's kind of adding these layers, these slabs of paint to kind of accentuate certain parts of the composition. Cave Woman 2021. This is 24 by 24. So Hyegyeong is actually using the kind of strange chemical things that are happening with the paint and the staining, and then building these sculptural parts up quite a bit. Some of them, I would say, are, I don't know, they probably get to an inch thick, inch and a half thick. And I've been talking over the last year or so about what has been referred to as a current, wouldn't say a movement, but something that's certainly happening in the commercial art scene over the last 8 or 9 years, which is the kind of the figuration. Some people are calling it zombie figuration. I don't know whether that's appropriate. This is titled Hot Springs Fever 2021. guess there's also a certain kind of abundance. A lot of this relates to maybe fertility goddesses, the Venus of Willendorf. So I was thinking, I don't know how many of you look at classic oil painting, but one of the things that Rembrandt did was always kind of build up his highlights until they became almost three-dimensional. And there's kind of an aspect of this with Hyegyeong's work, although this is all acrylic, so it has a little different character. It's titled Best Friend, 2021, acrylic on canvas, 60 by 48. Okay, so we've got all kinds of lines. So Hyegyeong can actually paint fairly realistic. That's a darn good portrait of a dog there. And then it kind of goes into her more exaggerated, cartoony images of abundancy. All right, so that was a tiny little run through of Hyegyeong Choi on the plus side here in the basement at shelter. You can like this, share, post it to all your social media sites, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews below. Just ask you to say, as we always do, thank you, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kos.
Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.